Hello, it's me, Jess. Welcome to my channel. I'm here with another channeled message. This is a specific message. It might resonate with you, it might not. All right, so this is a very interesting message, and I feel like Spirit is bringing this message through to fill in the gaps and to, I think, answer some questions that you may have about a scenario that you found yourself in, especially to do with the way the energy is moving on the back end of things, like the spiritual side of things, and the way the karmas are kind of expressing and being managed and shaping up in this situation for different people that are involved. Now, if this is your message, I feel like your energy is what I like to call a builder energy. I compare and contrast builder energy with saboteur energy a lot on the channel, and I feel like yours is a builder energy. And what I mean by that is you're probably upright in character. You're very moral. I feel like you're a harmonizer. You're somebody that really does try to find your place in the world. You're not trying to take anything from anyone else that wouldn't feel right to you to begin with, that wouldn't be a win for you overall. Instead, you really do try to find a balance and be very cooperative and harmonic within your environment and with the people, places, and things that surround you. That's something that brings you a lot of joy to do. And because of that, I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of a chicken or the egg scenario with like either because of that or because you've already kind of learned other lessons that have ingrained it in almost like the very fabric of your being that it's unwise to handle yourself in any other way. So when you butt up against some kind of obstacle in your path, that I would describe as karmic energy, because karma to me is symbolized by Saturn, which can be an authority, it can be a checkpoint, it can be an obstacle, it can be something that kind of slows you down. You know, like if you've ever had a cat or a dog that like eats really fast and you get those like silicone inserts to put in their bowl to make them eat their food slower. Think about that. Like we do that in order to help them so they don't hurt their little stomach, you know, and but that could be a karmic kind of energy because it can slow you down. It can feel like an obstacle or something, right? Whenever you bump up against that kind of energy that stops you or befuddles, I just heard befuddles you, you really know that it's there for a reason and that you should work with it. You should try to figure it out. You shouldn't just try to sneak around it or try to take a shortcut around it if you can, because you understand on some level, you do know this, that life is a holistic process and that we are here to alchemize ourselves and to grow and to learn and to cooperate. And you want to learn the lesson because it's almost like this karmic point here that's doing a lot of things, right? It's teaching you a skill. It's maybe controlling pacing. I'm hearing like divine timing kind of stuff. You know that if you got beyond this checkpoint, that it's a checkpoint for a reason. It's kind of on one level saying to you, you probably need to master this before you move on, because otherwise your building could be in vain. So eventually you're going to get to another spot where you're going to need to know how to do this. And if you don't, you're going to have to come all the way back here and potentially undo the things that you've done. Again, it's a wisdom thing. You sort of understand this very innately. And I'm not saying that you're not perturbed whenever you come up against something that's given you grief or it's red tape or it's slowing you down. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that you have met this with grace in the past. And because of that, you have built. That's like why I classify you as the builder. You've built something. You know, you've built yourself, probably a personality, a skill set, a moral fabric. You've built excellent karmas. But I think you're a contributor. You're a contributor in your relationships, whether they're romantic or platonic. You are a contributor to your home environment. You do your share of the chores. You are a contributor when it comes to your work environment. And I actually think a lot of you produce a surplus. And this is something that is its own reward. And it's almost like that sharing and that cooperation is worth it to you. Like it's almost not even the spoils. Not that you don't enjoy the spoils. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying like that is its own reward for you. And that is something that you understand. And that's what makes your energy so beautiful and so rewarding to be around, right? Now, I think because that is your nature, you don't understand this other energy, this kind of saboteur energy, this sabotaging energy, which I feel like you have had an introduction to in this lifetime. And honestly, in lifetimes leading up to this lifetime, this is something to do with the karmic lesson. And I feel like this kind of sabotaging saboteur energy has themselves positioned themselves, interloped, blocked your path. In a sense, this person or entity or whatever this is your karma. But it's not a karma that you yourself have earned through your follies or your misdeeds, it's almost like you've drawn it to you because you've created this surplus energetically. So it's a different kind of karma. It's not, you didn't do anything wrong. This is just sort of, as you start to grow things, people, places, things, energies, I don't know, they're going to be drawn into this. They're going to feel maybe jealous, and they're going to maybe want to attack or steal or siphon, right? So I feel like this is an experience that it's a different kind of experience though, or like a different level. And I feel like you have had to kind of get your arms around this one, you know, like your mental arms are like, okay, how am I supposed to even approach this? Because again, I think that you concern yourself with being moral and being upright and not wanting to step on people's toes. But this is almost like it's like a sabotaging, attacking kind of energy. So like, I think it's taken you some time to like get your arms around it, like I was saying, or figure out what your approach even should be to dealing with this. Now, that's where Spirit wants to clue you in on the back end. And I do think that for a lot of you, this could have involved a soulmate connection, because it's like this is how I want to describe it. So take this, this might not be the exact situation, but you can kind of see the way the energy is moving. But I'm kind of getting that for a lot of you, it's like you were building a soulmate connection here with a significant other person, probably nestled very beautifully and safely in soul pod energy, soul family energy. And I'm just seeing this, like these beautiful golden threads kind of attaching all of you guys together. And it's like you were building, you were all in harmony. Everything was flowing really nicely. You were getting your bearings here. I'm hearing we're allowed to kind of like create this surplus. And then it almost feels like that's where this sabotaging energy comes in. And it feels like an invasion. It more feels like an infection, a germ, if you will, that's like gotten into the system, like on a karmic level. And that's like attached itself, almost like a parasite or something, like tried to attach itself to this surplus energy, these bond energies. And it would like to cut you out. I don't think that it can cut you out, but that's what you've kind of experienced here. And so Spirit is saying that they follow a different kind of ethos. And there actually may be similar to the light side of things, the spiritual side of things, where we have kind of teachers and guides and masters that are helping us along our path. They're guiding us in moments where we don't know what to do or are difficult. And it's because our guides have kind of been through that. And they're helping you build in accordance with all things, in a harmonic way with all things. They're saying that not everything does that. And it's all a part of a whole system. You're not to be best friends with this energy. You don't need to have that perspective. But that's this sabotaging energy that you have come across. Because when they met a karmic lesson, which I actually feel like is you, and something that you've built. And I think that you were looking at this on friendly grounds, but they were very jealous. And they maybe wanted to do the work. They could have tried to do the work. They could have gotten very frustrated, not been able to master something, and wanted to kind of like get around it. And that's where I feel a temptation energy kind of came in and was like, well, I can show you how to kind of like get around this. And it's by sabotaging. And there's been almost like a negative technology I'm hearing that was discovered and kind of like disseminated amongst certain groups of people. And it does feel like in whispered secret. But basically, there's certain souls that have figured out how to essentially like dodge their own karmas, but receive fruits that look like the fruits of good karmas. And I'm hearing this has been allowed to play out because it is challenging certain souls like yourself. Like it's serving a function right now. And Spirit wants you to kind of understand your place in this cycle so that you can understand what's going on here, okay? So basically they've learned that if they interject themselves in a soulmate connection, okay, if they rival, and if they try to pull one of these soulmates away from the other one, basically what they've done is they've created karma, okay? Because we create karma when we assert our free will, when we do not flow with the Tao, because flowing with the Tao is flowing with God, and that energy does not create karma. So when we choose to go down our own path, which I'm going to say it's a masculine energy in this situation. It very well could be a feminine, but I'm going to say with most of you, I think your Empress energy here, and that if there's a masculine energy who's been tempted by the snake, it's very Garden of Eden, the way that this is coming through for me. Been very much tempted by this snake energy off of the path and away from his soulmate, away from the soul tribe, away from his the Tao path to his life, and therefore has created karma. So that karma in future incarnations is going to show up as a crossroads moment where he now has to choose. if he's going to flow with the Tao, if he's going to choose his divine partner and his soul tribe and genuine Empress energy, that builder energy. So it's not a lazy path, right? Even though it is his path. Or if he is going to follow the path of the snake. Now, because this masculine energy has this karmic lesson, it does need to show up as a karmic lesson, okay? He's kind of, in a sense, fallen in this example, like in his energy. And so he really cannot tell the difference between his Empress and this karmic energy. He can't, because his energy has fallen. He was tempted off the path. And that is a genuine karmic lesson that he needs to learn now. He's put that obstacle in his path because he was tempted. Does that make sense? So that has created a crossroads. Well, the snake, okay, who does not, let's say the snake does not have very good karmas. So that would be reflected in the way that they incarnate. If karma, like, was just this straightforward thing and we could easily, it just always moved in a straight line, right? So that would show up, right? They would incarnate in, certain kinds of bodies and certain kinds of conditions with certain kinds of challenges in front of them or something like that, right? Because that's, as you sow, shall you reap. And none of that is to punish this soul. It's just because they are still stuck trying to figure out, how do I, it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, how would I cope with, being poor? Well, when you go through times in your life where you're poor, it really teaches you a lot about true value and like the simple things. And you find joy in that, which in turn changes your energy, which then you manifest different things and you understand what real abundance is. And then you actually manifest genuine abundance. You know what I'm saying? It's like some of these souls have to go through that cycle, but instead they get frustrated. They pulled this masculine off of his path. Now, if this masculine is going to incarnate and come in and truly face his crossroads moment, and he's got to bring his other souls into this, so that he can truly be challenged, well, that snake energy has to actually be able to rival Empress energy, which naturally it cannot, because it's decrepit on the inside. It's not at all on her level. So this snake energy has to have something tempting. And I think this is actually up in the air karmically. Like, I don't think it's because that karma doesn't actually come from them. So they haven't actually earned, have you ever heard like beauty is actually a karma? Like it's a technology. Wealth is actually a karma. It's like actually a technology. It's like you understand like those things. And so that's when it kind of bakes itself into your soul and into like your karmas, right? Well, this snake hasn't earned those things per se. They just have to be tempting. They have to be luring to this masculine energy. So I do think it's like up to you and your guides and this masculine, like what kind of boon this snake energy is going to receive that they have to kind of have over you or have in abundance. It's not Empress energy. It's not well-rounded energy. It's kind of giving gold painted turd, to be honest. But what's going to be the gold? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be status? Is it going to be intelligence? Is it going to be a certain skill that they're extreme at? Is it going to be beauty? What is it? But it's not Empress energy, but it's got to be enough to tempt this masculine and to make him think that these two souls are on the same level. Otherwise, he is not actually facing like his own karmic path. Well, if the snake energy does that, not just to one couple, but to multiple couples, then they always have some kind of boon that's coming in, and essentially they can put off their own karmas. Now, it's not a way to like get around this indefinitely. I feel like you can probably hear the folly in this and the discomfort in this, because this is kind of where this malicious energy comes from. This feeling of like not having an identity because they can't live in their identity. These are souls that have gone down this, again, they present this as a path for the spiritually profane. This is the path that they've chosen to go down because they haven't wanted to face their actual karmas and the reality of who they are. And I feel like that kind of does echo in this lifetime, where this is a person who maybe they seem to always change their face depending on who it is that they're talking to, the way that they present themselves in order to get ahead or in order to form an alliance or to get whatever it is that they want, or this could be the kind of person that sort of morphs their identity with every boyfriend or girlfriend that they're with because they don't have a genuine sense of identity. And I feel like they actually target this soul, like would actually, like a lot of times people who do this that like to compete and rival with, get in between people, usually I've just noticed this, but I think they have a fixation with the person of the same sex more than they even have with like whoever their partner is. It's like that weird fixation. And it comes from this, like this is the way it's coming through in the reading at least. It's like it comes from this jealousy, this envy, and this desire to have what that partner has. So they know, like, if that empress is still invested in that masculine energy and isn't just like, well, I release you, and there's some kind of lesson that I feel like, she didn't ask for, but she's kind of have to learn that she has to choose herself, then I feel like that whole plan just kind of crumbles, because the rival then doesn't need to be able to rival this other energy and therefore incarnate in a lifetime that has something similar to what she has, but a very superficial version of it. You know what I'm saying? So if they do that to multiple people, multiple souls, that's kind of the way that they are. It kind of comes off like a narcissist. It kind of comes off like a hungry ghost. Like, I'm hearing like the hollow drum, makes the most noise or something. I mean, yeah. And I feel like it's a way that this soul thinks that it can outrun its karma. And this is like trickery and guile. And I feel like they were a victim of this too. Like, they're like some kind of snake energy that tempted them down this path. Like, oh no, it's a foolproof plan, because if you do it to multiple people, then like, even if one empress, like, kind of, because the reason I'm saying the empress wakes up here is because it feels to me like she's the battery. She's because she's still invested and connected in that masculine soulmate, which it is love. It's a strong love. So it would be hard to release it. And it would also make no sense to release it, except for his behavior and except for the fact that he rivals you against someone else. And I think it would come from insecurity, like from this masculine. And I think that's part of the temptation. And you might not even see this rival or something, because it feels like the original lifetime that would have happened in, this rival, this snake energy tempting people in the Garden of Eden, was hidden in the shadows. Like, you may not have even known this person. This could have been this masculine's friend in a bar that was like, hey, I know a guy that, became a millionaire. All he had to do was like push his girlfriend into this volcano as a sacrifice, and then this masculine was like, wait, what, really? Or something stupid. Because I think for some of you, this does tie into that reading that I did recently of, maybe like an ancient lifetime that you lived where you were sacrificed by a strong soulmate and like pushed into a river or like a volcano or something in order for them to receive some sort of boon. It's that kind of tempting energy, I think, went on outside of your awareness, because this masculine could have, I don't know, traveled to another place and made acquaintances there that were of this variety that I'm talking about. I think you get what I'm saying here. So I feel like you letting go of this means that the karmas and the consequences finally land where they need to. Because I think that you've been receiving the pain of this, the competition of this. I think you've received the confusion of this, like why this karmic energy or this rival energy is seen on the same level as you. Because I think you can feel the love between the two of you, and you wonder why he can't. And it's because he's preoccupied with some kind of superficial thing. And that snake energy knew what it was doing at some point back in the past, where these things were probably, I'm kind of getting that it was like at the beginning of the Kali Yuga being like the dark age, because it would be right at the beginning, because at least there's some light left over from like a period of enlightenment where these things were kind of known and talked about, energy and karmas and how to kind of manage those things. And then it was like warped and corrupted of like, well, this is how we can be selfish and avoid learning things. But it's not in your best interest not to learn things. Imagine a 6-year-old telling you they don't have to go to first grade and learn the alphabet and learn how to read and write, and they're just going to get around doing that. And you're like, when you want to read a book, or when you want to write a book or something in the future, or be able to communicate or send a text message, you're going to wish that you learned the alphabet, and you were going to wish that you learned how to read and write. So it's like it's devil energy. It's like they think that that's a good thing, and they think it's like cool or something to kind of get around it. But it isn't. And this is what your energy knows. And I feel like that's where the jealousy and the malice kind of comes in, because on a soul level, I feel like this rival energy feels controlled by you, because you really do get to decide what boon they come in with. Like they might really, really want wealth or something, and it's like, sorry, you get beauty, or like whatever. And so they're not in control of their own like destiny or their own karmic path because of the way that they've decided to play the game. But again, they don't have that self-awareness. This is how they're choosing to try and avoid lack. That's what it feels like. Avoid going into lifetimes where they have lack, or, they have to cope with some kind of like not having of wealth. and not having of beauty or not having of status. And it just feels like they're so scared to do that. But I think you've gone through lifetimes like that. Probably some of you have experienced some of that in this lifetime. And you know what it teaches you. It teaches you what's actually important. And you connect with a different spot within yourself. You find your footing in a different arena. And all of that's part of this dance and alchemy of life. And this soul has just refused to do any of that. And I'm hearing the proof is in the pudding. So I feel like you've really earned your stripes here. And this soul is very jealous of that. And they kind of blame you. But really, they just need to kind of correct. And I feel like this masculine does still have good karmas. This soul, this snake energy, it's they don't have very good karmas. Okay. I feel like they've been at this for a while. They've inserted themselves as a rival in soul connections, as a path to the spiritually profane. And I do think they have some level of knowledge, but it's guile, it's just it's superficial, whatever. But this masculine, I feel like, it's kind of he sits right on the fence of it. And I've picked up that energy in a lot of these readings where he has fallen to this energy. This energy has said, come along with me. This is how to do things. And it can't feel good. I think this masculine, there's insecurity that they preyed upon with this masculine. And it might actually be in comparison to your energy because I think things come, you've built yourself up in a certain way and you're not in competition with him and you would share with him and you don't look at him any type of way, and I think that there'll be stints in your soul journey where he will be ahead of you in certain things, and there's stints in your soul journey where you will be ahead of him in certain things, and that all seems very natural to you and fine. And I just don't think he's gotten there yet, and I think that was some kind of weakness that was preyed upon here. Because I do think there's a certain fantasy with this masculine that he's going to take something from you, and then, or he's going to go off with this whatever snake energy and build himself up and come back bigger than you and impressive to you. And so he misunderstands your energy. And that's where I kind of get this masculine. I'm seeing him as Beast, from Beauty and the Beast, where he was that prince energy. And he was rude, and that enchantress cast a spell on him, and then he became this beast, and because he's fallen prey to his animalistic, natures, but he needs to reacquaint himself with love. But I'm seeing the part of that story where he's got to step into the light so that Belle can really get a good look at him. And I feel like he's got to come clean. He's got to step into the light and say, I've been a beast. I've been impulsive. I sided with a snake. I potentially put you in a very difficult situation. Something that was meant to stress you out and make you feel bad about yourself because I thought that was the thing to do. And I no longer want to be like that anymore, because the whole thing about the beast is he's got to learn how to love and be loved. And once he does that, the spell is broken and he returns back to that's that beast becoming man energy. And I feel but in order to do that, it's to turn that corner, he's got to face his own insecurity of not being enough, of being less than, of being maybe tricked or stupid or having gone down a path he should not have gone down. He's got to confront all of that to be able to walk back towards you in the truth and in the light. And really, truly, I think to earn your trust and to earn your respect again, because I feel like it was actually lost here. So basically they're saying there's two different karmic paths that souls are taught and that souls kind of go down. Yours is the path of the builder. It's the upright path. It's the path that was always meant for the earth school, right? But there's always going to be students that kind of figure out a different way, It's giving second sibling energy, in a toxic family unit where it's the golden child has already received all of the attention, for doing things the right way. And I really want to make a splash, And nothing I ever do is going to mean that I can catch up with my older sibling because they're 2 years older than me. And, it's that kind of energy. But I feel again, they need to confront that. Karmically, they need to confront that. And it needs to be about them and it needs to be about their journey. And I think they need to stop being so competitive. And I think they need to stop comparing themselves to everybody else, because we all really are different and unique. We really are all special snowflakes. And this person just hasn't connected to that part of themselves yet. And honestly, they're just pushing it further and further away by running from the karma that they just originally needed to face. And then they've gone and created way more karma. And then they've tried to drag other souls down with them, And it's kind of like an infection. It reminds me of a germ or something. But it's a karmic germ. It's a spiritual germ. So I hope that made sense. And I hope that was helpful for those of you who are still listening and who are going through something where you feel like somebody just kind of interloped on your connection or something, it is because they're more fixated on you than they are this masculine energy, because they want your traits or something. And if you are attached to this masculine, I think you've been put in a position where you've got to choose yourself, basically. Even though it's a beautiful soul connection, but I think he's got to choose. I think it's for him. I think you've got to let him deal with his own self. And that might be hard because you might have honestly gone on quite a journey with this masculine, many, many lifetimes or something. But it's, I don't know, this is just a weird part of your soul's journey, and just trusting God and trusting the process and praying for his soul, and making sure that you're keeping yourself safe. Because I honestly feel like once you withdraw your energy, there's no more need for this snake who's trying to leech off in the way that I've described. There's no more need for that snake to have whatever boon it has received. I just heard in the beginning part of its life, in order to rival with you. There's no more need for it, so it'll just go away. And then the truth will be revealed. And I feel like that's what you want anyway. Because I think it would confuse you that you're seen on the same level as this other person. Because I think you can clearly see that this person ain't it. And that, they're not at all on your level, or they don't have your same essence or like anything like that. I think you can clearly see that. And I think you're baffled and maybe a little insulted that this masculine can't see it too. So anyways, that's what I have for you. If that resonates, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys.